Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday, December 23rd edition of the AM show, just 2 days until Christmas. I am your host, R2DGen, joined with me, as always, by Mr. Free Market Capitalist.
Hey now.
Hey, now we are, like I said, just a mere few days away from Christmas. And kind of as predicted, the markets seem a little bit slower. We have some floors softening up. We see a lot of people selling for losses as tax season start looming. Or tax season is looming, and it's it's been an interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see how the next 10 days shapes out as we head into the new year. But how are you doing? How was your Wednesday?
You know what, R2? I'm feeling bullish. I'm feeling
Feeling good?
really bullish this morning. Yeah, I am very bullish. I think that as I look around, as you said, depressed floors across the board, and I try to gauge sentiment from Twitter, I am just feeling super bullish. I feel like everyone is so ready to deploy ETH into these beautiful JPEGs that we know and love. Like you said, I think we just got to get past that December 31st. So feeling great this morning. Looking for NFTs to buy.
The new year is going to be ripe for the picking, I think, and I honestly do think that that's a big part of it. We had a pretty good discussion in the DGen dojo, about what different regions have different taxes and stuff like that. But in the States and in Canada, you do all of this trading. You make a lot of profits, but these profits are sitting in NFTs. You still do have to pay your capital gains tax somehow, and sometimes you have to liquidate some of your holdings to do so, right? And I think that's some of what we're seeing right now. But on the tax note, we do have a show hosted by Maz tonight in the Discord with a couple of crypto tax professionals, and they're going to outline some of the do's and don'ts regarding tax strategy. I know it's everybody's favorite subject, and you can feel the blood pressure just increasing a little bit just thinking about it. But it is a reality that we live in for most people. Some people live in countries that have very favorable tax laws, and that's great for them. But yeah, it'll be an interesting discussion. We're going to be hosting that, and I believe there's going to be an AMA involved in there too. So if anybody has any questions for them, please feel free to join us there, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight.
There's tax strategies which all of us need to pay attention to and employ, but then there's taking advantage of them because, I've seen how many zero ETH listings over the last few days, and tax loss harvesting is brilliant. I think anybody, if they can effectively do it, should employ it. The only thing is, are you ever getting that NFT back? If you tax loss harvest something you love, I'm not sure you're ever getting it back. So that you just have to figure out what in your hidden folder is worth the loss. But yeah, tune into that tonight because this is something everybody, especially in the Western Hemisphere, needs to listen to.
Yeah, just keep in mind we are not tax professionals, but they will be joining us this evening.
They are the tax professionals.
Well,
yes.
I've heard of people, especially on like Robinhood, getting burned because you do the loss harvesting, but then you rebuy into the same asset. But there's some wash rules that get pretty nasty. Yep. And I saw somebody that made like $10,000 in profit get taxed on like $1.5 million in capital gains. And it was I guess he got really wrecked.
There's an old adage that a good accountant should never cost you anything. It should make you money, and that's 100%. Why it's a good idea to listen in tonight with Maz. So
yeah, the second I actually hired a professional accountant rather than just going to one of the walk-in ones that are around, definitely felt a lot more good about my situation. So yeah, this is going to be I want to say an exciting conversation. Maybe not super exciting, but it is important, incredibly important. And of course, we're going to record that for anybody that can't make it. We do have a pretty global community, and that might not be an agreeable time for everyone, but we will have it, and we will have it for you in its entirety. So that's really exciting. Just wanted to get that out of the way, and yeah, we can move right into crypto if you want to start talking stuff.
Talking stuff. I mean, man, those coins are just bored coins, just meandering about, sideways action, pretty much the same thing we've been saying for a couple weeks. But I think I mentioned it yesterday, never short a dull market, and the longer we go sideways, the duller it gets. So just be on watch. And maybe the next flush, if there is one, is the last one. And we know the first quarter of the year. Now, yes, for crypto, but especially for NFTs. And I know a lot of people weren't here in January and February of this year, but you're going to be here in January and February of next year. And it's just traditionally a very bullish time for NFTs as people start to leg back into the bags they may have ditched in December for various reasons, whether it's paying your Christmas bills or tax loss harvesting, as we were just discussing.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like you said, we're starting to feel like every coin is a stable coin right now. They're just fluctuating within like a plus minus of 5%. Um, but who knows? I will say this. Uh, a lot of people were into that like 4-year cycle of crypto and whatnot. Obviously, the time scope of that is not very long. We're talking like 12 years since Bitcoin's inception, and about 8 years since Ethereum, and maybe even less than that. That's a very short time frame, and it's one of those things that was like in hindsight works until it doesn't. But we really have been in a pretty substantial crypto bull run for I guess basically a year now. It started taking off in November, December last year, and it's had its downs, but it's had its mostly ups. Like it's been a really great year in terms of gains, and even if you were just investing in something like Bitcoin, like you probably made 3x your money, which sounds like only 3 times like in this market. Yeah, like sure. But I mean, in historical markets, that is like some of the most incredible returns you could ever ask for. And this is like year over year in crypto. So yeah, I mean, it just feels different this time. And I'm really excited to see what the new year will bring. I don't know that we've come even close to like peak euphoria or anything. And I think we're going to get, you know, I don't think we're going to see one of those really huge drawdowns until something like that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about sentiment. People think that bull markets ride euphoria or good news. Bull markets actually climb walls of worry. It's disagreement that supports a trend. And the reason that is because you still need people to buy on the way up. So if everybody agrees with an idea, there's nobody left to buy. And that's when things turn around, whether we're talking about, the bottom or the top. It's when everybody agrees on something, there's nobody left to come over to your side. So that's what you always have to be on the watch for. Has sentiment gone so far to one side that there's nobody left to convince of your thesis? And no, we haven't gotten there in crypto yet, but we see these mini cycles play out all the time.
Very, pardon me. Oh my God.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I got
Are
something
you?
stuck in my throat there. Just went to talk and nothing came out. But yeah, very exciting to see what happens. And yeah, like I don't think we're anywhere near the peak of this. And there are people that are calling for that super cycle where it's a situation where the markets are maybe a little bit more matured and we see more of an extended bull run. That doesn't quite have the volatility that it's had in the past, but is more just up and to the right. Not indefinitely, but for a longer period of time. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Let's move on to some news. Seeing on Decrypt, I don't have to go in depth in this, but just a good story. They just said the biggest crypto story of 2021 is the NFT boom. From JPEGs to sports highlights to crypto creatures, NFTs dominated the headlines this year more than anything else in crypto. I gotta say that is likely true. Obviously, we are in NFTs and we don't want to be completely in an echo chamber, but yeah, whether it was for or against NFTs, it definitely was kind of the most talked about and the most meme thing out of the crypto world this year. As we talk about frequently, you look at they almost seem to be non-existent on Facebook, but if you look on Instagram, it's just FUD central. You look on Twitter, there's a lot of bulls and a lot of bears on it, and then you look in like the discords and our group, and it's just full on NFT bulls. But the conversation was abundant surrounding them. Obviously, there was just a huge amount of NFT projects released. We saw some projects like EtherOrcs pushing the limits and rethinking of how we're using NFTs, and yeah, I think it's just been an incredible year for crypto and NFTs in particular. Happy to say that I was able to jump into NFTs finally as well. Remember it from back in the CryptoKitty days of 2017, saying, probably nothing, and boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, we're all quite jaded and we live in a crypto bubble where we're all really deep in this stuff. But your average person, the crypto to them is Bitcoin. You would be hard pressed for most average people to even know what Ethereum is. By the middle of next year, it will be Bitcoin and NFT. You're already seeing it. It's already probably the second most popular term associated with crypto after Bitcoin. And I believe the masses will know about NFTs before they even know that you need Ether to buy them. And we saw, I forget the dictionary, but NFT was the word of the year.
Yep, that's right.
And yep, and now we're seeing this being the crypto phenomenon of the year, according to Decrypt. And this 2022 we're barreling into is, in my opinion, going to be the mass adoption of NFTs and thereby the mass adoption of crypto. I've said from the beginning, NFTs are a Trojan horse for your average person to get into crypto. Whether that means they buy a dick butt on Ethereum or a Mickey Mouse NFT on VV, it's how most people are going to interface with crypto for the first time.
Yeah, I think that this is probably the easiest way for people to start wrapping their heads around it too. I think a lot of people don't really get, like, older don't get digital assets. Like, why do you own this? Like, why is it more than just right click saving it? But there's definitely a certain age group that's coming up into maturity that has grown up with Call of Duty skins or Counter Strike knives and stuff like that, trading them and using them, and this stuff just works. I think it's a pretty, I don't want to say frictionless way. I think that'll be a big trend of 2022 is just reducing the friction. Things like MoonPay with celebrities doing it for them. But yeah, I'd be hard pressed to think that anything comes close in terms of like bringing people into the crypto world and the NFT world more than like a Top Shot or something like that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, cryptographic blockchain technology doesn't make sense to anyone, but the idea that you can't steal my Mickey Mouse picture on the computer makes sense to people. And that's kind of what NFTs are, right? It's digital provenance and digital ownership. And I just think it's the use case crypto has been searching for the whole time. Is it the end game? Not necessarily. But I think given how derided NFTs were, not by normies, but by crypto people even as early as February of this year, the majority of crypto influencers used to shit on me and anybody involved in NFTs. And that's maybe why our eyes rolled so far back into our head when people like 888 came out and said they were God's gift to non fungible tokens. Mic drop.
Oh no, sorry. I get fucking technical difficulties abound today. No, we are completely on the same page. That's why we're all here. But I think 2022 is going to be a spectacular year for the adoption of NFTs, and I think that yeah, just as this article highlights, it's being there's so much exposure to it to everyone. It's being mentioned everywhere. It's being talked about everywhere. You're eventually just going to get that snowball effect where people are just maybe at first it's only one in 1,000 that gets this impressed upon them and starts to go down the rabbit hole, but that starts to pick up steam and you start to get more and more people are talking about it, and as long as we are in an acceptive and inclusive community, I think that the sky is the limit for us. So the 2022 is going to be a good year, and we got lots more to kind of talk about looking forward to 2022 as we kind of wrap up this year. And I know that's going to be a big subject for us as well. So let's move on. Big news of yesterday. It happened live on the show, but it continues to be the talk of the town. Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs flip CryptoPunks floor price in Ethereum. The upstart apes have overtaken the OG punks in terms of the entry level price, signaling changing sentiment around the NFT projects. This is something that the CryptoPunks said would never happen. This is something that I don't think the original Bored Apes ever thought would happen. But it has, as of yesterday, the floor prices had flipped. Now, I should say that as of this minute, the apes are slightly under um the CryptoPunks. Right now, the lowest floor on the Bored Ape is 52.2 ETH. Lowest on the Punk is 53 ETH. So they are neck and neck. And it feels like it might be shaping up to be a bit of an arms race, but it definitely feels like the Bored Apes have all of the momentum going into the end of the year.
Yeah, the real story wasn't that Bored Apes flipped punks by point 0.4. It was that the reaction, I think, on Twitter and how the social constructs that existed in the NFT world, while we saw it coming for a long time, felt flipped, no pun intended, on its head. And there was a ton of what I like to call claim chowder out and about on Twitter from people who said that apes were gonna flip punks, 2 months ago. You always have the ardent believers who put out those tweets and then like to retweet them when the event actually happens. And hat tip to them. I mean, the apes are a force and deserve everybody's praise for what they've built and done for all NFTs. All NFTs benefit from what Bored Ape Yacht Club has built. But boy, I guess the most entertaining part of it were the maxis on both sides coming out and just having a grand old time. You had 8 maxis just twisting the knife as best they could into the stomach of many OG punks who were just dripping with cope yesterday. From I don't care if my punk goes to zero comments to, well, I own an ape too, so I don't really care. I mean, it was very entertaining. It was a bit of theater. I tend to side on the I love punks and apes. There's no reason they can't get along. They're
Can't we
important.
all just get along?
Can't we all just get a bong? And the thing is, I feel like most people, and we always say this about politics, and most people are centrists. Most people aren't extremists that are maxis about the concepts that they hold dear. And you saw cooler heads tending to prevail. But of course, the Twitter algorithm's going to port you as much sensationalism as possible. And for me, it was just very entertaining. I think we all feel a bit like kids in the playground. We're playing this very large video game called NFTs, and we do have our internal rivalries, but what are the Red Sox without the Yankees and vice versa? So I think it should all be taken in good fun. As long as you haven't overinvested and you need the devs to do something, just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and don't expect the Larva Labs devs to be doing anything. So,
No, no.
no,
Yes,
honestly,
they
like
are.
I get it. Rivalries are good. They're the fun, like the Lakers and Celtics, the Yankees and the Red Sox. Like it kind of just increases the overall um even just content for the space and things to talk about. People always love something to rally behind. It obviously, the Bored Apes and the CryptoPunks are prime examples of communities that are just ardent supporters of said community. But yeah, I mean, they definitely both have their space. I would imagine that most people on both sides understand that too. I'm a Lakers fan. I've never once said the Celtics shouldn't exist. We just want to kick their ass, right? Like that's just it is what it is. I'm
Right.
sure you feel the same way about
The Red
the
Sox.
Red
Look,
Sox.
I want them to be there. I hate
Yeah,
them, and I couldn't live without them. Like
y-
that's it. That's exactly how it is.
yeah. So I mean,
Hate them, couldn't
there's
live without them.
obviously an important space. I do find the story of the Bored Apes infinitely fascinating. Though it was they launched before kind of this large swath of profile picture projects that had come out in the subsequent months. It was a slow burn. I mean, people were aware of them, people were looking at them, this looks cool, whatever. But listening to a podcast hosted by one of the Bored Apes, who's pretty experienced in traditional markets and whatnot, um he was talking about how people that were joining the Bored Apes were doing so because CryptoPunks at that point were inaccessible, and they just wanted their own community. They wanted to feel like they were rallying around a cause. And at one point early on, He said, you would get into the Discord with all the other apes and stuff and be talking, and like the dream, like one day, maybe we'll flip me bits, right? Me bits.
Right.
And we're so far removed from that like you got to believe that these little tiny movements don't ever start with being like, oh, we're gonna flip CryptoPunks. I mean, they just took these baby steps, and they eventually flipped Meebits, but now they're looking back and like they just flipped CryptoPunks. Like they are the de facto profile picture community in the NFT world now. And I got to believe that they are now the absolute driving social force in it as well. Like they did all of the right things, and here they are looking down on the rest of the NFT space now.
No question. And I will say the one community that did interject themselves that really just needs to shut the fuck up and go away already would be the CryptoPunks. Okay. You are irrelevant mirror images trying to be something you will never be. You didn't win anything yesterday, and that movement needs to just go die on the vine already because you're all a bunch of idiots.
Oh, you've changed your
Did I?
sentiment on the
Did I?
funks, eh?
Was, I'm completely there. The head funk is such a toxic asshole. Like all he does, every other tweet he makes is about how Bored Apes are racist. And
Right.
there's no place for racism in NFTs, and there's no place for people dragging like inappropriate, toxic shit into what is kind of just a fun time for the people having a fun time. I think the funk movement is ridiculous, and it really pissed me off yesterday seeing them celebrate. What are you celebrating? What relevance do you have? Fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, Gary V popularized this. He didn't coin it, but he said, there's two ways to build the tallest tower in the city. One is to destroy every other tower in the city, or two is you go out and build the tallest fucking tower in the city. Bored Apes just built the tallest tower in the city, and yeah, you don't need to tear everything else down to be successful, right? That
You
shouldn't
do if
be.
you have shit.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't. That's if that's your like your operating strategy. I think that you're not justifying your existence very well.
Boohoo, Larva Labs won't give us more money. Fuck off.
All right. Well, again, we're gonna look forward to that. I think you're probably going to be standing by your 100 ETH floor on Bored Apes, and
Yep.
what was it,
Bored Apes
40,
to 100 ETH.
40 on the punks? But well,
I actually think they're going to top at 125 by the end of February. I had a prophetic dream the other night. I see apes around 125 by the end of February.
you just like wake up in the middle of the night and start writing this shit down.
125. People ain't what? Nothing.
Yeah, yeah. You just
Yeah.
wake up all your neighbors screaming.
125.
Amazing. All right. I'm sure there will be that's a topic that's not going to go away. And I don't want it to. It's fascinating, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Like I said, neck and neck right now. But I got to believe that Bored Apes are actually in the lead.
How about everything rallies to 100 together now? How about
Yeah,
that? That's what I
including the
want.
lemons. Yeah, let's all hold hands,
Including the lemons.
delist
Let's go.
everything, and make it to 100.
Delist.
All right, Meta targeting deep compatibility with blockchain Web3 incoming CTO. A senior executive at newly branded Meta reportedly urged staff to explore ways in which the company could embrace blockchain technology. Um, I want to believe that this is bullish news, that Meta is looking for interoperability, that they are going to embrace existing blockchains rather than make their own, and kind of create that world where everybody else owns stuff. But we all know what Facebook and Meta are really about. So it's hard to see them relinquishing that control over things unless they have a brilliant master plan as to how they can monetize the fuck out of this stuff passively rather than ownership of said information. But nonetheless, this the incoming CTO seems to be pretty forward thinking. I got to believe that with the $20 billion a year they're spending on this, that they're able to hire some pretty talented, blockchain and Web3 minds that are going to be kind of game playing this. But I mean, I like the headline. I hope that it's true.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed. I definitely like the headline, thought it was true, but as to what you said, my gut instinct when I heard this, so I said, "Oh, what shitty chain is Zuckerberg designing to put NFTs on Facebook?" It wasn't like, "Oh, we're gonna have NFTs on Facebook." It was like, "Oh, what's going on?" It's I don't have any faith that any of these companies believe in the ethos of Web3. I think nobody buys the bullshit, so we're kind of always just waiting. Like they say exactly what we want to hear, and we're just waiting for that shoe to drop. Like, where's the butt? And to their credit, this is all good stuff. This is all stuff I want to hear. I'm just waiting for the butt.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to believe that it's all in good fun too. I mean, they had their Libra coin that kind of got rebranded to, I saw it in the article, DM, and it was a stable coin back. It didn't take off. I know that they were trying to integrate that into their WhatsApp technology, blah blah blah. I don't know if they've given up, and I think that it's been pretty obvious that the SEC and even Congress was always shutting down the idea of Facebook doing their own cryptocurrency. That was definitely out of fear of of having too much power surrounding that, especially
Look,
because Facebook has a built-in 3 billion users or something like that at this point.
these are
Um,
nation states. These
oh
these
my god,
these
it's crazy.
corporations are nation states, and if they have currencies, what's left? I mean, if you all of a sudden give them a currency, what is left?
Facebook
These
has more people leaving the platform every day because they die than most platforms actually have active users.
That's an incredible stat. I did not know that.
Yeah, they're the biggest source of Facebook's churn is death.
Wow.
Like,
Off-putting.
just an unreal
Wow.
grasp on the
Wow.
world that they have. And yeah, I don't want them to have their own cryptocurrency. I don't want them to have their own blockchain. But if they are willing to use existing technologies there and kind of play within the bounds, it'll be interesting to see. They have the biggest potential in the world, maybe hand in hand with Apple to
If there's
reduce the friction
yeah,
into these worlds.
if there's any company out there that I believe decentralization is at the core of their belief and tenets, and you'll be surprised when I say this, it's Apple. And
Shocking.
I think people view Apple as this closed, centralized entity where all apps have to be approved, and that's why Android and Google were these great options for an open and decentralized world. But I would argue that while Apple centralizes the things that they put out because they want to control the experience more than any other company, they believe in the decentralization of a person and their right to their own information and data. Okay. Apple doesn't harvest your data. They don't sell your data. They don't try to profit off of it. Every other Web2 company is doing that. If any company is going to look at all these other corporations trying to get into Web3 and essentially usurp it to essentially put a Web3 skin on Web2, it's going to be Apple. Apple is not dependent on Web2. Apple is a hardware company and can adjust that hardware for anything, any paradigm that's coming out. This is the company that will champion decentralization and they hold the keys. So I eagerly await Apple's move into crypto. I think it's going to change the world.
Yeah, and it is coming for sure. I know that I can't believe $1 trillion, or what is it, $2 or $3 trillion company right now has not deployed an entire team of
Oh,
you know
oh yeah.
blockchain specialists working in the background. It is just there, for sure. So lots to look forward to in that regard. We'll see what happens with Meta, but they're obviously not backing down either. So last bit of news we have to talk about was just the Billionaire High School drama. Andreessen blocks Jack. Jack unfollows the Winklevoss. Bitcoin versus Web3 feud continues. These are fighting nerds. Dorsey and Web3 folks got into it on Twitter again. This is just becoming hilarious. I gotta believe these people have better things to do with their time, but here we are talking about Elon, Jack Dorsey, the Winklevi, uh, just going at it in terms of like whether the Web3 is a thing or not. Elon is professing his, Doge Maxi, which I'm sure is just getting under Jack's skin. They're both going against Web3. This is just ridiculous. I mean, they're bored. We need to get past the Christmas season, get them back to work.
Big shout out to Trades Error, who always knew that this buffoonish clown, Jack Dorsey, was the buffoonish clown that he is, because it is so obvious given Twitter's performance, given the products they've put out, and given what Jack did immediately after leaving. It's pretty obvious what he did in his office all day, and it was read threads about Web3 and probably throw shit against the wall because he couldn't respond the way he wanted to. Well, it worked on him all year to the point where he said, I fucking quit. And he spent the next week hopping on every Web3 thread he could find to basically stir up bullshit. And it is incredible to me, the bubble that these billionaires live in, and then try to preach to us about what is right, what you should be doing. No, that rich person is, but believe me, it's that rich person you should be looking out for. This is all such nonsensical high school drama, as you put it, that I don't even know what to make of it. And Jack, you've broken my heart. I thought you were a very handsome man.
Yeah, Jack definitely feels like that guy that finally got the divorce he wanted, and now he's just out there living the single life, saying whatever the fuck he wants and doing whatever he wants. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, we're only a week removed from him, being out of the CEO position of Twitter, and he's just like, is he going to get deplatformed from his own platform? Probably not. But I mean, it would just be like the absolute pinnacle of events that end up happening. But yeah, he has just been going at anybody and everybody, including Beanie, as we saw the other day. Beanie is absolutely loving it. I think he got, as you said, like maybe 50,000 followers just from that little feud he had with Jack. And, it blows my mind that Jack actually has enough time on his hands to find somebody like Beanie, who in the grand scheme of things, I shouldn't say is a nobody to him, but I mean,
he didn't have the time. Look at Twitter's stock. He didn't have the time. He wasn't being a proper custodian of that company. He was shit. I want to find his
this was all yesterday.
Oh boy, let's start.
Kevin Durant level of anonymous accounts.
Oh my God, we got to start analyzing all the old Web3 threads, because Jack was all over those things with 2 or 3 anons. We just got to analyze the language. Someone get on that. Jamie, producer? He said he's on it.
He's on it. We're working on it. We have a imaginary producer now.
It's Jamie from the Joe Rogan show. He moonlights in the NFT space.
All right, we can move on from news. We kind of we had a lot of news to kind of talk about, just because as we said, NFTs are a little bit on the slower side. WGMI is not looking overly different than it was the last few days. Bored Apes, Mutant Apes still doing really well. Bears Deluxe having a good month. Looking at the 7-day change, Wolf Game having a bit of a rebound, as we've seen people starting to shill it again back up to a 0.22 floor. That thing was at a 5 ETH floor for a while there, and then just kind of appeared to get rugged. I don't know. Like, I've spent
shout out to the homie Otto Suin, who was pumping it again yesterday. So it's the game that won't die. I think this game, as we know, had every influencer involved in it. So I'm sure every important person whose name is on the phone with these devs every other day saying, what's up? These are our bet. This is just like classic investing world. Once VCs and hedge funds have their claws in you, they don't let their bag go to zero. And that's what you're seeing here.
Yeah. One thing that popped up on WGMI that I love, and we all love, is the little lemon friends. Obviously, the data isn't super thick on it, but it did remind me that we are holding a 0.1 floor, which is not nothing. I mean, we're a week and a bit removed from the reveal, and it's sitting 4x the mint. And that's been a great run for them. I don't think we need to go in depth on the little lemon friends. We've done that more than enough. But they're doing well.
Yeah, and forget its little lemon friends for a second, and let's, do technical analysis on this floor and what's going on here, right? There were two nice sweeps yesterday. We caught one earlier in the day, and they were both by the same person, Cool and Cats, who is actually a giant dick butt whale. Shout out to the crypto dick butts. It is a blue chip. Just watch out for those next year. But this guy did two 60 lemon sweeps. Now, mind you, this is a 10,000 PFP collection with a very frothy pump that just occurred over the weekend and a bunch of traders getting stuck right into tax loss harvesting
Hmm.
season. This floor should be higher, not like a should, like, oh, people aren't recognizing it. It's a very thin artificial floor. And the moment people go from sell mode into buy mode, it'll quickly be back up to 0.15 and that area. It's really thin up to there. And yeah, just from a technical standpoint, it looks very strong, whether this was little lemons or not, just analyzing that data.
Yeah, I mean, we got up to I think 0.27 very briefly there, and that was
Yeah.
definitely peak euphoria for the lemons. And that those pumps can't be sustained forever. Obviously, there's a lot of lemon supply is pretty locked up, I think. But yeah, the floor is pretty thin on it. And given what's happening in all of the other projects, these really depressed floors. I think that it's in a pretty strong spot. But yeah, it did pop up on WGMI and was pretty happy to see that. So one project.
Honestly, it's looking stronger than Alien Friends and Cool Man's Universe, which were both, kind of hype drops that launched within a week. So,
Well, I mean, Cool Man's Universe is kind of interesting. It has I don't think it's really seen its pump yet. I mean, it was up to about point 0.2 post reveal, but I mean, the floor is kind of held at 0.14 and seems to be moving around within a pretty tight range there. But um, uh, yeah, I mean, I don't, I think Lemon Friends has done better than them, absolutely. But the volume on Cool Man's Universe has been really good, and I think the interesting thing about that was just with Lemon Friends, it was a really low mint price, and you were able to mint 15 of them. Obviously, a lot of people took advantage of that or more. With Cool Man's Universe, most of it was whitelisted. I think they sold 8,400 on the
yeah,
pre-sale list, and you could only mint two of them per wallet. So the unique
those
ownership was a
uniques, yeah, were.
completely different
Mhm.
ball game in terms of the distribution. Um, and I think that I think because they're starting out with basically an average of two per wallet, I think you'll see maybe some pretty big constriction on the supply there too. I think a lot of people were pleasantly surprised by what came out of them and didn't want to hold. I mean, I bought four of them. I bought two in the pre-sale and then two pre-reveal, and totally had every intention of flipping at least two of them. They revealed, and I said, I actually don't want to sell any of these.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's fabulous art. We love Cool Man's, no question. I was almost just looking at things from a technical standpoint, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
great projects.
fair enough. Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it.
Yep.
But yeah, both good projects. Project that is struggling a little bit right now. See it floating around a lot in Alpha Mint, the Degen Dojo, but Mendels, 770 are to be minted, and right now I think we're sitting at about 520. 528 now. So I mean, they're slowly getting there. It's low supply. um you know it, it's so hard, right? Because I pop these up and go, oh damn, these look good. uh but it's hard to know what niche these fit in, right? Like, they look good, but do you wear them as a profile picture? Because I mean, most of the visors are the same shape with just some different colors and textures on them. Like, I they look so good, but I'm just so curious as to like what happens with these.
I think we talk about the PFP thing a lot, and it seems super simple. But the number one utility every NFT has is to be a profile picture, right? That should be the first
For
utility
now, yeah.
beyond any roadmap or beyond anything. And I think these are going to be very frustrating for people. They look effing amazing. The art is great. Logically, you're like, what? 777 supply? That makes sense. But really, I consider all of these kind of negatives, right? The art looks fabulous, but it's too detailed for a PFP. The supply is low, but that's not enough to form a community around these. So I think they're amazing, but they could be very frustrating for people who bought. Now, there's a bit of a dichotomy going on here. It's a low floor that hasn't really minted out, but the legendaries are actually getting some very nice WETH offers on them. So you see this often in generative art, right? The floor, the general floor on most of them will suffer and fall to mint even below in many cases, but the rares will be snapped up by collectors and get a pretty nice premium. So I see that happening here with Mendels. Great collection. I think it could be a little frustrating if you're trying to flip it. So just be a little cautious there as it still hasn't minted out. So if you want one, they're there. But I just don't see it as a good cook based on the parameters I just laid out.
Yeah, and there's some interesting dynamics happening at play here right now. So the floor is 0.156. There's definitely a couple below mint price there right now. Just checking it out, I'm seeing 7 below mint price. This is often a pretty difficult situation for uh, a mint that's ongoing to see the floor drop below the mint price immediately, because now if you want to get in it, you're faced with this dilemma of like, I could just buy off the floor if I really want to. However, these are revealed already, so you know what you're getting. And like you said, there have been some really good offers and some really good sales. So I guess the one saving grace to dipping below the mint level is that people still feel like they have a shot at a rare, rather than just buying the pre-reveals below the floor. So I think that I'm gonna have a hard time believing that with only about 240 left to mint, that this won't mint out. But I don't know what it means for it. And as you mentioned before, 770 is hard to build a community around, especially like there's only 273 owners. And if you go into a Discord or something with 273 people in it, you'd be actually probably pretty shocked at how quiet it might seem.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you need a good number of people to have, lively, constant conversation and what people view as a community. And I want to be fair to these and present the bull case. They're ahead of their time, okay? There are only two things you can do with an NFT right now. That is put it in your PFP or put it on your Apple Watch. Those are the only two cool things you can do with your NFT. I've talked about 2022 being the year of hardware, and I believe if there was a one-click way to throw these Mendels up on a wall or a gallery, they'd be a smash hit. But right now, there's only two things you could do with an NFT. And if you're looking for instant trades or cooks, it needs to fit into that paradigm.
yeah, definitely. There's more to come with them too. It's not like this is the only thing that they're doing. These are metaverse
Legit
characters.
studio. Yeah, yeah, they're going for it. This looks like a legit animation studio that wants to take the this is more than the picture we've given you route. So, again, it's not that these are dead long term and don't have potential. I just, if we're talking about traders and looking for alpha, I think that it could be a hard trade.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the statues look like too. They're sending out 77 statues, or they're sending 77 winners a Mendel statue, which could be pretty
Hmm.
cool. I would love to have one of those sitting on like the desk or the shelf behind me or something. They look super cool like that. Or it would be amazing if these were like 10-foot statues too, and they just show up on your doorstep and say, "Deal with it."
People are dying for stuff they can do with their NFTs. I want a 3D little lemon friend so badly, and I want a Star Wolf hoodie so badly. Like, people are dying for this. So, I think that those type of value adds from a project are great.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, speaking of physical properties for the NFTs. We did do a an interview last night with Bad Bunny's founder, Can Opener, as they launched their physical card game. That was had a lot of people tune in for that. Very exciting, and the video is up on YouTube for anybody that missed it. But that was a great chat, and Can Opener's a really solid dude.
Not get over how good not just the physical cards and card game they designed is, but the new art for the bunnies. This is criminally undervalued as an NFT property. I was like really impressed with the thought, and I think, designing a game that's fun is not easy. I'm yet to play it, but just having watched a lot of the teasers and read about it, I'm super excited to get my hands on these physicals. So, as you know, if you listened last night, you minted, if you were a previous owner of Bad Bunnies, you minted what are called Genesis tokens. Now, I minted 5 last night during our interview. You now have an option. You can either burn one of these Genesis tokens to receive a physical card pack, of which there will be a maximum of 1,250, they estimate. Theoretically, you could burn all the Genesis tokens and there'd be 2,500. But the other thing you can do is stake this Genesis token to allow the bunnies you have to earn their in-game utility token called carrots. And maybe my favorite part of this incentive scheme is that the higher ranked your bunny is in the gang, and if you don't know, each Bad Bunny is part of a different gang. I'm part of the Diggers gang, and there are, I think, 7 or 8 different gangs, don't quote me, but each level of bunny, you got your soldier bunnies, your capos, your doms, your bosses. The bosses earn the most carrots. And I love this. This makes a lot of sense. This plays right into their lore, right into their structure. And that should be coming in January or the first quarter of next year. And you do have 2 weeks from now. The public sale is going to start today at 5:30 p.m. You're going to have 2 weeks after mint out to burn a token to get your physical card pack. So be aware of that. Staking is going to start in the first quarter of next year. And I believe R2 just posted that video up to our YouTube.
Yeah, I posted went up this morning, and it is ready to go to be watched. I wanted to get it up as fast as possible, just because they are in the middle of their minting phase and whatnot. But the Bad Bunnies are something that we've always supported, always thought looked great, and I was happy to have him back up to talk about it. They're just a project that keeps working.
Yeah, if you own any Bad Bunnies, you have until 5:30 p.m. to mint your Genesis tokens in the pre-sale. Previous Bad Bunny owners have the right to mint up to 10. And then the public sale will begin today at 5:30. So yeah, really excited. I minted my Genesis tokens. I think R2 and I each bought a bunny live on the show yesterday, because that floor, again, is criminally low compared to what we believe the potential in this project is. And we say this about a few projects, Little Lemons included, but this has Coinbase and TV show written all over it. So we're really pumped on this into next year. And I want to thank Can Opener again for coming on and giving us that great interview. It won't be the last.
Yeah. As Lucas pointed out, there are only 150 of the Genesis tokens minted so far, so they're off to a little bit of a slow start. But I have, I have faith in this team, and I'm not just saying that because I had them on there. It's been a project that has just kind of stuck around. Like they've been there since September, and if a project had just abandoned ship, or the floor drops a little bit, and they say, screw it, we're done. They could have walked away from it and rugged everyone, and it is what it is. We've seen it time and time again from projects, but no, they've continued to work, and he hinted at some pretty big partnerships along the way too, without specific names, but he said that they were on the global scale of things. So makes me bullish for the IP, if nothing else.
Slow minters never bother me. My last 2 favorite plays have been slow minters that didn't sell out quickly. And to be averse to again, it's a trader's mentality, and I'm not knocking anyone for like, if I don't see volume in the project, I don't touch it. But I am much more of a, I'm a diamond in the rough. I make predictions. I'm a speculator. I try to see the future, so to say, and that's why I like things where I think it has an it factor and it's not minting out quickly. Those are my favorite cooks. So doesn't bother me at all that Bad Bunnies isn't minting fast here, and I truly believe people will regret not owning any into next year. So I definitely packed my bag a little fuller last night.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of a one project that minted yesterday wasn't a gas war or anything, but a bunch of us were in the voice chat hanging out for was SolarBots, and this was an interesting drop for a couple of reasons. One, it was a .2 drop, but it was a .2 and it came with 4 NFTs. This is a game that they're building, so they have different classes in terms of their fighting styles, like a healer or a tank or blah blah blah. So you got one of each ready to play the game. And it also had an interesting mint mechanic that I've never seen before. I'm not going to say that it's never existed before, but it had the ability to reserve your mint. So if you didn't want to participate in the gas war, you could pay the base fee of .2 per mint up front, and then pay the gas later when you were ready to transact with the contract. I'm not exactly sure how the technicals of that work, but I thought it was pretty cool to be able to hold your spot in it. So you were obligated to still buy it. It wasn't like you were just saying, "Oh, I'll get to decide later." Like, you're still paying for them, but the gas just came later. So I thought that was pretty cool. They did mint out, and they are holding above. Well, it's kind of flopping around the floor. If you consider that each NFT was worth .05, they're sitting at .05 right now, which is not bad. It is a pretty high supply. There's a 31,000 of them right now. I believe there's 40,000 total, but there were some big sales too. The voids were the ones that were pretty rare. I shouldn't say pretty rare, really rare, and they were going for upwards of 10 ETH yesterday. If you managed to pull one of those.
Shout out to Redacted. I just saw you buy that Bad Bunny. My wrist is attached to the watch. I mean, my the bot is attached to my wrist. So I just want to also just comment on this because I loved the art on this. People were kind of hyping it a few days before it happened, and when I saw it was slow minting, I'm like, "What's going on here?" Well, I guess it's a 30,000 supply, which again, as a long term thinker, doesn't scare me off. But I guess I'm not surprised as to why it wasn't a gas war and a cook. The art looks great. I mean, I'll say that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's important to note that if you're planning on participating in the game, you do need 4 of them, right? So,
mhm.
one way to look at it is maybe all 4. It kind of counts as one NFT if that's your goal. If your goal is to flip them, then they are individual as well. But yeah, like I said, the voids went as high as 12 ETH. They're sitting at about C sales for 10 and 9, plenty of them. And there were some wallets that really, really went hard on this too. I saw some that had minted 600 of these. So, 150 mints times .2 is a pretty big investment for some people jumping into this. But yeah, like we said, 30, 40,000 to supply things will likely start to become more of a meta in the future. And maybe they won't be floor prices high, but it doesn't mean that the multiples won't be as good as well.
To mint more than 100 of anything not citrus based just seems insane to me.
Yeah, so I'm watching this project closely. I haven't sold any of them. I minted 2 packs. The other thing that they did too that was interested was in the middle of before the mint process, you had to actually sign a transaction that said verify human. So you had to verify the fact that you were indeed not botting this contract first. And it was a good thing that a bunch of us were in the Alpha Mint voice chat, simply because we called that out and got through that first. And obviously it wasn't a super fast mint out, but if it had been, that might have been a spot in the contract that really tripped people up.
Voice chat, so valuable, especially
Super
during
valuable.
mints.
Yeah. All right. I think that is pretty much all I had on the list. We could start letting people throw their hands up. We'll bring them up on stage for a quick Q&A, and then and then we'll go from there. Is there anything else you wanted to finish off with before we do that?
Yeah, I am a gigantic Archer fan. If you guys don't watch Archer on FX, it's an animated TV show about a secret agent, and one of my favorite voice actors, John H. Benjamin of Bob's Burgers, voices Archer, and he does not look anything like Archer. If you Google Archer at John H. Benjamin, it's pretty funny. Side note, but the artist that makes the art for the Archer TV show has started his own project called ETH Walkers. Now, this is kind of zombie based, isn't minting out very quickly, but I know quite a few in the DGen Dojo have been watching it closely. So that, I believe, given we're in a very dry period for mints, I do believe it's minting today. The public is. The pre-sale has been open. Some of our DGen Dojo members may know more about it and want to come up in the AMA and say something, but as a huge Archer fan, I've been in that Discord, and it is the Archer art. I mean, it's this guy's style. Like, you would recognize it as Archer immediately. And it looks like kind of a cool project. I just don't know anything about it, though I do know the public starts today. So keep an eye out on that one. And if anyone wants to come up and talk about it, I'd love to know more.
Yeah, it looks like there's a pretty solid team behind this and a lot going on. It looks like they're trying to do some different stuff with like having more of like a one-of-one character that's representative of you. But I would love to know more about it and see how it's doing. Definitely need to take a quick look at this, though.
I wonder about this thesis, okay? Because I feel like so many people, we love Halloween. We love playing dress up. Do you really want your pseudonymous avatar to be like representing you exactly, like a facsimile, like a duplicate? I feel like people enjoy being apes and lemons and all sorts of quirky things. Like, yeah, maybe if you have laser eyes in real life, you would like your avatar to have laser eyes or a top hat or whatever your fashion is. But I do wonder about these projects that are going too realistic. Like, that's where I love the tone that Clonex struck, where these are obviously humanoid-esque avatars, but they're funky. They're out there. They're a little crazy. They let you play, so to say. These very, very serious ones that just look like people. I don't know. I don't know. I wonder about them, but everyone has their own thing. So
yeah,
food for thought.
The customizable ones too. I wonder if that kind of takes away of the allure of it, of like minting and then finding out what you got and seeing if you ended up getting a cool character or something like that, right? The second that you can kind of put it into a character generator and make it your own, maybe it's just maybe there's just maybe not quite as fun aspect of it. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with ETH Walkers. One thing that's kind of cool is that if you're playing the game, it is a zombie survival game, and I just saw this that like I guess you can turn undead if things don't go your way.
So, cool. I wonder,
cool. Like almost like mutant apes kind of style.
Speaking of the undead, I got whitelisted on Hunger Brain yesterday, which I'm happy about because I have been such shit at getting whitelisted on these games. And this is the first game I got whitelisted on, and it seems to be run by Grape Dutch. If you guys don't know Grape Dutch, I believe we follow his wallet in the wallet tracker. I think he is a big Mahaf over in the MVHQ universe, and I think that's his project. He seems to be the one making all the announcements, and I could be wrong. Maybe someone correct me, but that looks like Grape Dutch's project there, and I have maybe said 3 things in that Discord, and yesterday I won a whitelist spot for being an active Discord member, so I do not know how they... Say that again?
Very lucky for you. That's I
was perplexed by it. I said, like there are Discords I have worked for so long trying to be active in, and you can't get a whitelist spot. This one I've been in there like once, and they're like, active Discord member, you have won. Okay, take it.
Nice. Free Market just tells everybody that we have a show that 200,000 people listen to every day, and they're like, take a spot.
That is the first thing I say anytime I land in a Discord. Take me to your leader. I would like to bring you on our show. I get no response usually.
No, nah, you're not gonna get one up here either. Illidan, what's going on? Good to talk to you. Sounds like your mic's actually functioning today. You're not in a snowstorm, not driving.
Yeah. I'm on my computer, so I can see like tapping the mic, things actually turning green. So that's good. I don't know what happened yesterday, but so all credit for ETH Walkers should go to Kiwi. I mean, he pointed it out to us, and I'm not like the most knowledgeable person on it, but I do know some details about it. So I'll explain what I know. So it is a 10k mint, but it is not, as I understand it, it is not a 10k mint where you keep minting more, right? So it's 10k and that's it. It starts off with 60 zombies and the rest of them being human. And the whole point of this is to survive. And if you are one of the last 100 humans, I believe, you win the survival game, right? What's interesting with this one is it is an NFT game, but you're not going to have a shitload of gas cost, because what they've said is you do a bunch of signing, and as you sign stuff, it moves you, it changes it back. That will trigger the metadata changing on your NFT, and that'll change the background and shit, and so it'll tell you where you are. And there's going to be there are different rooms in the server, like the fucking, I don't know, hospital, school, whatever. And as the background of your NFT changes, that'll change the rooms you have access to in the Discord as well. So you can like strategize with people on how you're going to survive and all this. And also you can get bitten and then your thing will turn into a zombie. So like it is, I would say, more original than like a bunch of shit that we've seen, like Wolf Game, right? Which is cool. So I'm really just kind of perplexed as to why the whitelist did not mint more of these. Because it's meant to.
What was the percentage whitelisted versus public?
There's no percentage. It's just if you have a Bored Ape, if you have a mutant, or if you have a Zeneca Academy or a Zen Academy NFT, you're whitelisted. Right?
Yeah, that's well, I guess it depends on the relationships they were able to make with those communities, because usually if you have a good in those alpha rooms, they come and support your project, right?
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is also the zombies are meant to be actual apes. So it's like 60 Bored Apes or zombie apes that have been picked, and they get like some amount of the royalties or something. So I guess they're going to be using some of those zombie apes as part of the actual game.
And there's an in-game currency?
As far as I can tell, I don't think so. Like it's just meant to be a pure survival game. Right.
Fun.
Sounded and no gas cost. Gas cost, right? And no gas cost. So like to me, this looks like a really cool game. It is actually original. It cuts out all the gas cost and bullshit that you have with this sort of stuff usually. And it's a really well-known artist. I mean, if you look at the NFTs that are out right now, right? Like they are actual Archer characters, just with different hair and different skin tones and shit like that. I mean, you can look at this and go, "There's a ton of Lanas, a ton of Archers, a ton of Mallories, and a couple of Kriegers here and there." So like, it's so I'm like, I really want to mint like a fuckload of these things, but I am still kind of worried with the fact that it's a 10k collection and only 1,500 have been minted. Where if you're whitelisted, you could mint a fuckload. I mean, it tells me I can mint 20 right now if I have a mutant. It's 20 per transaction.
What's the price?
0.042, I believe.
Well, at least they smoke weed, so I give that to them. Hat tip for the 420 reference.
So yeah, it's 0.042, and so it's not like a crazy expensive mint either, right? And like I'm really kind of just surprised. I mean, it does look like they are competent, but they don't have any crypto shills and crypto influencers or NFT influencers on board. So maybe that's it, right? So it kind of just goes under the radar for a little bit. And they've tried to keep everything very organic. That's sort of the only thing I can think of. So, also when this mints out, the actual game doesn't start till January. I think it's like second week or third week or something like that. Because I mean, Christmas, New Year's, and all that. So I don't know if this is just a situation of it's a low liquidity period in the market, so people are just not paying attention, or it's just the fact that there are no big Twitter shills, or I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'd be keen to get your takes on it, on what's going on here, and
Well,
if maybe you'll mint or not, or
I'm 100% minting. How many hours until public? Do you know?
I think public starts in 19 minutes. I believe it said
Oh,
6 p.m. UTC today, which
okay,
yeah,
great.
7 o'clock. Sorry, 1 p.m. Actually, maybe I might have my
I
time
am
zones wrong.
100% minting some, no question.
Let
I
me
love
just
it. Yeah, everything
let me
makes
just
sense
double
to me.
check. Let me just double check before I hand out wrong information. Let me go back into the Discord. Give me a sec. Where are we? Announcements, blah blah blah. Come on. Yeah, December 23rd, 6 p.m. UTC. What is that? Yeah, I think that's in 19 minutes. Sorry. Give me a sec while I
No worries.
No, sorry, it's in 2 hours. Yeah, 1 p.m. New York is. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's
Okay,
not in
couple
19
hours.
minutes. Sorry,
Cool.
it's in about 2.5 hours. My bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I really want to mint these because I'm a huge fucking Archer fan.
Yep.
I'm also a huge Frisky Dingo fan. I mean, it's not exactly the same art, but Frisky Dingo was the precursor to Archer, and it's, for anyone that doesn't know it, I would recommend checking it out because it is
I don't
absolutely
know it.
fucking hilarious.
News
Dude, you
to
got to
me.
check it
I
out.
gotta check
It
it out.
is
Yep.
it is really, really, really fucking funny. I mean, I think it's absolutely hilarious. So yeah,
Awesome.
definitely check that out. So yeah, I mean, that's what I know about it. I'm just trying to figure out kind of how many of these things do I mint.
Right. It's I'm gonna go look. I want to mint them, and I love, like you said, I'm a huge Archer fan. So when you describe the game to me, it's really appealing. I mean, I guess it's just about the instant cook possibilities here. We don't know. We have to see if there's demand. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the fact that it's a game where you don't have the gas cost, and it's not another, mint fucking another 20,000 of them using a shitcoin.
I love that the majority of characters are going to fall to these zombies, and there will be only a few humans left, and that will make them very rare. This is cool stuff.
Yeah, guys, actually, I completely forgot to, and I apologize for this, but Maz actually did an interview with the ETH Walkers team on Twitter Spaces that's recorded up there. So the link is in the AM show chat that he dropped.
Oh.
So go check that out too. Completely slipped my mind. We're talking about this whole time, and we've got the alpha there.
Oh, nice. There we go.
So yeah, and I also just want to give out a shout out to Yamar, who might be putting us in touch with the SolarBots team to do a little bit of a show as well. That'd be super awesome, and I think Scott's on that already, so that's great news as well.
Cool. Well, how long was the interview? We've got plenty of time to listen to it before the mint starts, probably.
I would imagine it probably ran about a half an hour to an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we got time. We've all got time to go check it out before the mint opens up for everybody.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things too, right? With a very specific subset of the NFT community whitelisted, like the apes, the mutant apes, and
it was just the Bored Apes at first, and then later on they added the mutants, I believe.
Right.
Because they are using actual apes in the game. So that kind of makes a bit of sense, but yeah.
But like, it's one of those things where people get squirrely when the whitelist isn't moving very quickly, right? And as Free Market said, like, okay, you can put all of these people on a pre-sale list, but what is their incentive? Why do they want to mint? Why are they participating in this? And if they're not, then all of a sudden everyone goes, well, if the Bored Apes aren't, the mutant apes aren't, why should I? And it just gets this like really kind of like that standoff thing, like where in the office where they're all standing like in the first one to flinch or whatever. But pre-sales are such a tricky thing to manage because if you don't do it properly, it could just spell the death of your project simply for that reason. There could have been a whole bunch of people hyped to mint this, waiting for the public. I can't wait to get in on this, and now they're going to be sitting there looking at it like, well, why didn't anyone else do this? They didn't. Why would I?
I mean, that's what I'm doing. I mean, I have pre-sale and I haven't minted.
It's literally what we're talking about right now, and it's a valid concern. Well, why aren't the apes minting it? But we'll look at it, and there's probably something there.
And I have seen a few projects do this where they don't talk to the apes or the kaijus or the punks, and then all of a sudden they come out on Twitter. Kaijus, apes, and punks are whitelisted for our project.
Yeah.
The communities don't like that. You got to go talk to their community manager or devs or admins, because people know it's a tactic. They know you want punks and kaijus on your roster because it gives you legitimacy. So you really got to be careful about claiming a partnership. And anytime you say a certain NFT is whitelisted, you're essentially claiming a partnership. And if you look at what Cenarius did with Little Lemons, I mean, he was very careful and respectful of Klon and Cool Cats and talking to them, and Toy Boogers, who he also whitelisted and stuff. So it's a whitelisting we've seen break quite a few projects over the last month, because in a low volume environment, I mean, you can't count on secondary demand being there if you whitelist the majority of your customers.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's more or less what I have to say, because I mean, I have been keeping an eye on it, and I'm kind of keen to see what happens. So yeah.
Well, I'll definitely mint too. I just don't know if I'm going to ape. I'll watch and see if it's an ape. Well, I don't even know if
you and I could sit there. I believe it is instant reveal as well, so we could sit there and mint until we get an Archer and a Lana and a Krieger.
I love it.
Cool. You know what? I honestly,
I'm gonna jump off.
I enjoyed Archer. I thought the art style was unique, but I don't know that. I personally, it doesn't do anything for me on the profile picture thing. But I'm gonna watch it. Like I think it's still a cool project. I think they're doing some really unique stuff, and that's not fun. It's just my own personal take. I know that you guys have some very nostalgic memories of Archer, and is important to you. It just doesn't strike me personally the same way.
Phrasing.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Fair enough.
I said phrasing. I said phrasing. And anybody out there who watched
I thought you were just crazy after I said that. I'm like, oh, okay, fuck me.
He's not gonna get it. He's not. He never watched Archer. He's not gonna fucking get it.
I haven't watched Archer. I just haven't watch Archer. Yeah.
Also, the earlier seasons are a lot funnier, because when fucking ISIS came out, that was a real pain in the ass, because the agency in the show is called ISIS, and then all of a sudden for fucking 3 years or 2 years there were no shows coming out. We're like, what the fuck? Because they're like, well, we have a show here about ISIS, and there's a fucking bunch of maniacs in the desert also called ISIS. So
yeah, it fucked everything up.
But yeah, alrighty. Well, I'm gonna let somebody else come up then.
Cool, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Glad Mike was working today.
Yeah, it seems like it's working today. Alrighty, boys.
All right. If anybody else wants to throw their hands up, come up and talk. Would love to have you up here. For anybody that tuned in late, just want to give you a reminder that we do have some tax specialists that are going to be joining us on the stage later this evening, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a really good talk, and it is going to be pretty hands-on. You guys are going to have an opportunity to ask some questions and pick their brains. But as I mentioned before, it is going to be recorded, and there's no worries there if you can't tune in live.
Yes.
Yes to all of the above.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, if that's if that's everything that you guys have got, I think we could start to just wrap up the show. Anything you want to finish off with?
No, I think that I am now very intrigued about these ETH Walkers. I'm definitely going to be looking to at least mint a couple for nostalgic purposes in a couple hours. So that's what I'll be watching today.
Yeah, fantastic. Super excited about today's show. If you want to check in with any of the other ones, always live on YouTube and Spotify. We appreciate the support there. But yeah, good luck. Oh, damn, I almost stole your line. What am I doing?
Good luck at the table, DJ.
There we go. We're out.